I wanted to get into Meghan in Paris, legs up in the limo, and the lights of Paris gliding by. And I saw your article you did in the Daily Beast, and I've got a
Mm.
quote. And this quote I quite agree with. What once looked like a clean break between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal world now feels blurred. Now I'll accept that because Europe, Paris is a lot closer than Melodrama Cito, so I'll accept that one. But this one nearly sent me into apoplexy. Meghan remains every inch a duchess. Her title still confers an extra sheen that makes her a serious media figure. I would argue that the only sheen she had was what Daniel gave her, the highlight on her face. I seek to understand you, Tom. Explain that. Explain
Mm.
that quote.
I think that what I'm trying to say is that she still attracts attention because of her title. And of course, there is like an incredible irony that, people who've spent 5 years literally slamming the royal family at every opportunity, saying how awful they are, accusing them of being racist, accusing the whole institution of being outmoded, of being colonial, of being prejudiced, of being racist, are
Yeah.
still using these titles. But the reality is that the Duchess title does give her an extra sheen to people who don't know, right? So you and I and the people watching this, we're like the 1% of people who know the story, right? Or the 2% of people who know the story, yeah, who
Yeah.
understand that she's not allowed to use the HRH, but she does, who understand that she's been allowed to keep the title, but lots of people aren't very happy about it, who understand that she strong-armed her kids to be called prince and princess when the palace didn't really want it, right? We understand the nuances, the differences between a working royal and a non-working royal. The point is,
Mm.
right, that Meghan's audience is the rest of the 5 billion people on the planet who are on Facebook, who have no idea. And my point is that to the whole rest of the world, the people who aren't invested in the royal story, being a Duchess is something, right? It is something. Being an HRH, even if you're not entitled to use it, they don't know the difference. And it's like the same thing when Prince Andrew appears on the steps of the church with the king. The rest of the world, we understand that Andrew is a member of the family, but not a member of the working royal. But the other 98% of the people on digital social media, which is how all this stuff is being consumed, have
Mm.
absolutely no idea about that. And
Mm.
what that means is that she is still a massive focus of media attention when she does events. And she's still by far the biggest driver of traffic on the internet in terms of a name. If you want to write a story and you want people to read it and it's got Meghan in it and it's about Meghan and about Meghan doing something, it will drive a lot of traffic. There's just no denying that. So that's what I mean. I don't mean that she is a important person in a way, but I mean that she's still of great interest to the media. And I think that what the palace have done incredibly successfully by exiling them, by cutting them off by starving them of attention, by not really allowing them back to the UK through this security thing, is it's completely the playbook of Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson, right? And
Mm.
they were only allowed, Edward, I think, only came back to the country kind of 4 times, always for
Yeah.
funerals, and indeed his own funeral. Um,
Yes.
and what that did was it starved him of attention and meant that he frankly died a very unimportant person. And Wallace was, after people, in the fashion world, and I know there's a movie coming out with Joan Collins and, all of that playing Wallace.
Yeah.
But like, actually, they didn't really have any influence at the end of, very quickly after the break with the palace. Harder to do that for the palace today because of the global media, because, if Meghan
Mm.
wanted, she could start a YouTube channel. I'm sure it'd be very successful.
Yeah, if I was advising her, I don't know why she doesn't ditch the title because I think she would actually be more popular. I think people would see it. I mean, I shouldn't give her any ideas, but it would really sort of lean into that rebel, someone that really had a bone to pick with the institution and the public face of that institution. And she was standing up against it, with integrity. And that would have made her famous, like really famous. I get what you're saying. She attracts the media attention, but that level she's seeking, I think she would have got it if she had have
I
rejected
absolutely
the
agree
titles.
because
Yeah,
I absolutely agree because it's entirely hypocritical. It's totally hypocritical, right?
yeah,
To on one hand be slagging off the royal family, and on the other hand, exploiting the title. As you say, it doesn't have authenticity, credibility, and she probably would do much better as they probably would do much better as Meghan and Harry. And I got the impression that was definitely the idea at the beginning. But I think part of the whole problem with Meghan is, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? Do you want to be Meghan and Harry? Do you want to be Duchess Meghan? Do you want to be HRH Meghan? Do you want to be this woman in a white suit looking like Mother Teresa or Princess Diana? Or do you
or
want to be someone
Gandhi.
just cruising through the streets of Paris, or Gandhi? Or do you want to be someone just cruising through the streets of Paris with your feet up on a chair, who's really chilled out and really good fun and really great fun? So there's a massive sort of identity crisis at the core of Meghan's brand, which is what you see in these endless reiterations and this endless trying to be everything. Am I doing, mass market jam, or am I doing $50,000 couture gowns from Balenciaga? I mean, the two do not go together, right? The
No,
two do not go together.
no.
And I just felt also, and this is what was weird. And my sister mentioned this when I was doing the live with her on my Substack the other day. Um, she just didn't look very happy. She didn't look like she was having a good time. She didn't look like she was having fun. They did release an Instagram video later that was a sort of behind the scenes thing that, had the usual signature, jolly upbeat music, as my
Yeah,
subtitles called it. Upbeat music now playing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but she didn't look like she was having a great time. Like, if I,
Well,
do
she was
you know
doing
what
the
I mean?
model
Like,
face though. She was doing the
yeah.
model face. Well, she was trying to, but I thought Plum made a great point that
Plum
she
was
will
very funny
never.
about that.
Yeah, she was, and she was also funny about the fact that really, she will never make one of these grand fashionistas because she always looks for the camera. And they never do. They
Yeah,
never look
yeah,
for the
yeah.
camera, and she's always looking for the camera. Did you see that
Do
bit
you know what? Though?
in
I bet she stops. I bet she stops now. Now that Plum's told her to.
Yeah, probably. Did you see that thing, that moment with when the model stumbled and she was the only one in the whole row that laughed? And right
Yeah,
next
I
to Marcus
did.
Anderson. And did you see? Now, you might be able to give us some insight into this because you probably know the dynamics of that relationship a little bit better than I do. I always thought that they were just mates, that he helped her do all the social climbing, managed to create that network that got her eventually to Harry. But he seemed more like a handler because he really admonished her. I mean, it wasn't a mate saying, "Oh, you're such," that the eyes of a mate saying, "Oh, you're such a
Right.
dag god, I can't take you anywhere." Like that sort of friend response. It was
Yeah.
real admonishment with his eyes, like, "Oh, really? Come on, get yourself together, girl."
I
And then she
mean,
sort of stopped.
yeah. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, so all the video that I've seen of it, I completely agree with you on your analysis of the way that he responds to her laughing. I haven't actually seen any video that shows this model stumbling. So I don't actually know for a fact what caused her to laugh. And I'm slightly nervous of whether that is actually the case or whether it was just a nervous laugh about something else. But just because I haven't, have you seen video of the model actually stumbling? I haven't actually seen
No,
it.
no.
No. But I
No,
don't
although
know. But
although
I
there was
you're
a reaction, not a laugh, but there was a reaction, not the woman next to her, but the woman next to that woman. There was a reaction. She raised her
right.
eyebrows. So
Right. Well,
something happened. But you're right.
yeah,
We
it
don't
seems
know.
not unreasonable. Well, it seems not unreasonable to conclude that perhaps a model stumbled or a model tripped or something, a bit slapstick happened that made her laugh. But yeah, he's kind of cold, isn't he? He's kind of cold the
Yeah.
way he looks at her.
So
And
does
I mean,
does that
I
make
think
you
it's,
think that
I
she
think
was his
it's
plus one? Like, was he the one with the ticket and the connections?
no, I mean, I think they wanted Meghan there because it got them all the headlines. I mean,
Right.
Funnily enough, one of the things people are actually nervous about inviting Meghan to their events is that it overshadows everything else. So, actually, as a
Mm.
serious designer, you might actually argue that it might be more valuable to have Anna Wintour, who was in the front row, as the focus of media coverage of your story. And one of the risks of having Meghan is that the Meghan drama, the Meghan whirlwind, completely wipes everything else off the front page. But
Yeah.
back to the relationship with Anderson. I mean, look, he's the membership manager for Soho House, so I'm sure he knows what side his bread is buttered, and I'm sure he also knows, how to handle yourself and how to behave appropriately these things. And I think it's sort of what I really felt about it was I just felt it showed, like, for all Meghan's media profile and all this and all that, just showed like how rarely they actually go out and do anything like fun. Do you know what I mean? That, like, she just sort of in
Yeah.
a way didn't really know how to handle herself. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very, very strange moment.